for the chat. So I mean, but yeah, if you want to go there.
Yeah, I do want to go there.
Hey everybody, you want to go there?
I do want to go there.
Let's go there. Good evening, love, and good evening, light, and thank you for being with us once again as we share another galactic gathering in an impromptu hangout. Thank you for being with me, Alicia, once again from Temple Beautiful, and me, Wendy, as we share the infinite languages of lights. And I never know how to actually introduce myself. So this is one of the things I'm kind of been working on a little bit. But if you're new to my channel, hi, I'm Wendy, and my highest excitement is to share the language of light, the languages of the soul, of the angels, of source. I know that I'm also channeling Emissaries of the Light Collective, and I know from them who have said to me, absolutely everything that is created speaks, emits a language of light. For absolutely everything's light, everything's color, everything is a frequency, and we understand sound. Sound heals. We don't understand completely why any of this makes us feel amazing, but I know that the day I began writing these scripts and sacred circuits and symbols and speaking languages, that something very profound and galactic was happening inside of me. And as I have explored this more and more, I've began to also understand how it helps us open up our channeling abilities and increases the synchronicities that we have in our lives to show us we're always on the right path, but it's to remind us that we're always supported, that the information is always flowing. We're always channeling. And it took me a long time to understand that I've been channeling all my life. And now it comes, as we explore these light languages, we open up all of these other clairs. I happen to see, I receive information in visions. I receive it I hear languages. I hear actual voices and conversations. Which I know is the case for my cohort here.
That's true.
So we were talking about a lot of things today as Alicia and I were debating even whether or not to go live, because we were really just, I started this whole conversation because a lot of synchronicities that have happened in me in the last few days. For those of you who have been watching me for a while, thank you. Thank you, all of you, for being here, and thank all of you for all of your love and your comments. I haven't even done a video, as many of you know, for me, it feels like forever because it's been like, I don't know, a week or something. So, but yet I've been feeling more and more, we have been drawn more and more to do these galactic gatherings where we're sharing more and more of our collective experiences. And it was interesting because when I very first started my journey, as I've mentioned many times, I'm very connected to the Syrian energy and that idea of the Syrians, of pyramids, but that goes so much bigger because the Sirius star system, Sirius A, B, and C, they contain a great many beings and races, but that's just a very small sliver of all that I am and all that we are. We are multidimensional beings, and each one of us experiences a sliver, or maybe when we put more energy toward a particular idea, we then tend to receive more and more information about that idea, because where thoughts go, energy flows. So as we start to explore something, our reflection in our reality, we manifest. We manifest our reality based upon what it is that we're exploring in any given moment. And that can be our serious side. And we were joking about that a little while ago about because I heard in my head, the serious sisters. And it's kind of funny because we were, in
That's
some
us,
ways,
Wendy. That's us.
I always feel like you're more serious than I am, but we have this serious connection in all of those ways, Sirius and the star Sirius.
Oh
and one of the things that started waking me up was light circuitry, sacred circuits, and I started writing these glyphs and I started sharing them in my sessions with people to help open their galactic multidimensionality, for them to help remember their Sirius side, their Pleiadian side. We were talking a lot about the Pleiades today, and we were talking about the Pleiadian, our experiences on Maya, on Era, on Polana. There's so many things going on out there. And it's as if I never know which direction to take these conversations in. So I sort of let the guides take us where they will. And we were even discussing that. How much of this stuff should we share? Should we not share? How much of these experiences are just ours personally? That are they meant to be shared? And should we even be concerned about any of that, And so today, I just wanted to reiterate the date. Today, I'm like, okay, what is today? Today is 10. What's the date? Is it the 8th?
I'm
the 12th. I'm like, wait, it's the 12th. So I wrote it down right in front of me. Isn't that funny? So as we were having a conversation, I was doing some drawings. I was receiving some information, and I even wrote down the date in front of me and still forgot. So today's the 12th of October of 2018, and today's date equals 15. When the sacred circuits from Sirius were first introduced to us, we were given 15 sacred circuits, and they were like a gift, if you will, or a message from Sirius to help us all expand our awareness and our consciousness, and to remind us that there's other civilizations, beings, that we are all of these things, but we're having a human experience. And today's date happens to equal 15, the final sacred circuit, which in combination of them all equals manifestation. And so I found it very interesting today that Alicia and I would be able to, we just sort of, again, it came together today.
It was meant to be.
It was just meant to be. And so there was a lot of things that have happened to me over the last week, which is, I've been doing a lot in my 3D world as far as my hacienda here. And I've had a lot of projects that I've had to really focus on. And I've also found that when we manifest these things in our physical lives, it's always in tandem with our higher selves and our guides, because what we need isn't always what we want. And sometimes being offline and off the air isn't what we want, but it's what we need. Because in order to share this information, we also have to integrate it. We also have to hear it. So I've been spending a lot of time, and everybody's been talking about the energies. I've been spending a lot of time in meditation, in listening, in going with my guides. And this weekend, all of a sudden, I was guided again to go to the Bashar site, the Bashar communication site. And I said to my guides, okay, I'm here for a reason. What is it that I most need to hear? What information is for my highest good, my highest expansion that I need to know now? And I was telling Alicia about it, that the very first one I ordered was self-worth. And I will just say that has been one of my huge themes for here, my mission here on Earth, this time around, if you will, or however you want to look at that. I believe, I know, I feel that there are parallel realities happening, that the past is not the past at all, but we perceive it as the past. Time is not linear. Everything is happening absolutely right now, simultaneously. They are other realities that we visit billions and billions of times per moment by moment by moment in order to create what we consider a linear life. And They're basically slideshows. It's which ones do you want to insert, what time, what do you want, what reality do you prefer? And that gets very physics minded. That gets
very complicated, but it's not at the same time, but it is.
We have a hard time remembering to do that's exactly what's happening, because what we were discussing earlier was the emotions, though, is real. What we are experiencing here on Earth is real. These synchronicities and the emotions and the realizations of tapping into these other timelines and parallel realities is real for us. That is what this experience is about. It's to experience those things, and the feelings that they evoke are real. And the emotions and the things that we talk about are real, even if it's our imagination, even if it's just that none of this is real.
Like I always say, the imagination should really be taken out of the English dictionary.
Well, because really it's you're creating an image, and we create with that image and our frequency filters, we create and we manifest a physical mirror back to us. And we can change that physical mirror back, what we're receiving, based upon our frequency and what we believe about a particular thing. Because even you and I, in the conversation that you and I had prior to going on the air, we were able to actually change our point of view and perception about specific things, all in just a very short time period. And that's exactly what was the last thing, like you said, was, I'm so glad we have this opportunity to speak to each other, to other people who get it, who I can't talk to in this 3D world yet, because we still interact with people and situations of other frequencies in order for us to gain knowledge and wisdom about what it is that we want and we don't want.
And I think for some of us, the one thing that Wendy, well, there's a lot of things Wendy and I want to talk about today, but one of the main ones was that a lot of times as we're waking up and we're experiencing all these different experiences on different vibrations and different timelines, bringing it all into our now, it can get kind of confusing and complicated. And someone says, so how do you describe this? Or how do you describe what's happening? And we just kind of sit there and we're like, how do I describe it?
Exactly.
And so this is what came up when Wendy and I were talking, was that it's okay if you guys can't describe it, because you have the knowing of the feelings, of the emotions that it brings out in you or that you feel. And that is as good as describing it in a 3D way. So like, for example, I'm pretty open about a lot of stuff. So I tell you guys all about my past lives and all kinds of stuff. So I'm just going to dive right in, Wendy. So I was explaining to Wendy that because I've been dealing a lot with, not dealing, I've been enjoying my time in my now, communicating with Ramses II. And I know that I had a past experience with him, or a past now with him, but that when I try to remember specifics in a 3D way, when I try to remember the movies, they don't quite come, except I have these specific feelings that I feel, and that really are so deeply ingrained in me and so emotional that they have to be real, even though I can't remember why I have those feelings, or I can't explain with like a movie why I have these feelings. Yes, right? Did I say that right?
And
okay.
Yes, and that. Well, go ahead. Okay. Go ahead.
So we kind of had this aha moment that this is what we've been talking about. We've been trying to sit here for like an hour explaining things that we've been really feeling, and to understand that feeling is enough. feeling is enough. You can just say, this is what I've been feeling. And because it's you, because it's in your now, it's your truth. And we have to understand that that's just as good as explaining the whole picture in a vivid, multicolor movie in HD.
Well, and we got to go that step further about the whole expectations thing, and that we expect things to appear to us, or that we expect to understand something in a particular way. And if we can't define it, if we can't label it, if we can't compartmentalize it, then we dismiss it, or we don't integrate it because we don't understand it. Sometimes we need to be okay with not knowing. We need to be okay with that. And as I was guided to download these, these two events from Bashar, the self-worth one, all of a sudden, every single thing that he was saying was just like, oh my God, of course, this is why I need to hear it. This is why I needed to hear it. And it started to remind me of the messages that I have agreed to come here to teach. That everything I was hearing and was also these multi-layered messages about, do you remember when you first heard us? Do you remember all of the information that you've learned since that time through Jim Charles, Human Colony, our he's such an amazing channel that we learn so much about ourselves that it's almost like when you do listen to these events, or you go to a channeler, it takes time to absorb all the information and to really integrate. Okay, what do I do with this information? How do I react to it? How do I feel about it? What do I share? What do I not share? What is ego? What are other people going to think if I share this stuff? Are they going to think, oh, well, she thinks she's all that? It's like, look, I know it. I know it in my being. And yes, I'm going to say, I own this. This is who I'm channeling. This is what I'm receiving. So as I'm hearing all of this, I'm realizing this is part of my training. This is all part of my training of, as he would say, who gives a rat's ass what other people think? If we've got to stop worrying about filtering what it is that we can or do and don't want to let out, as we were talking before we went live about, well, what's okay to share. I really believe I never even give it a second thought, as I told Alicia, because I just trust that my guides are only going to share what I'm comfortable sharing.
Right.
And that's the same thing with channeling. And I want to express that to you guys who are afraid to channel, who are afraid to speak light languages because you don't know what it is, or how do I know? Because it's you, the feeling. And as I'm listening to this event, I'm just weeping and weeping, because I'm like, yes, I know this is my truth. This is what's real for me. And I know on so many levels, not only did I teach this information, but I'm also learning it again, or remembering it so that I can reteach it. It's like, and then the next one I downloaded was the 5 levels of mastery. Now, anybody who knows Bashar and is familiar with Willa Hillichrising, she's a being that is 700 years, if we want to call it upline, as they call it. And I've always, as soon as the very first time Bashar ever introduced Willa, and this was many years ago in events that are no longer out there on YouTube. They were like, I think they were private events, and they just, got taken off for copyright and stuff. But anyway, and I remember even then connecting with her. And then Bridget Nielsen started talking about how she was connecting to Willa, and how Willa had taken her to her world and shown her things. And so the whole 5 levels of mastery is all about Willa and about the different levels of mastery and the cryptics. And it was so funny, because I kept thinking about Alicia as I'm listening to this event, and I'm thinking about all of these levels. And it goes, and I was so excited. I need to listen to it again because I can't even remember them all now. It's like, but I knew without a shadow of a doubt that this week in my dream state, I have been doing some really amazing stuff. And it's like, but then to wake up and say, oh, I want to tell you guys all about it. I can't. I can't even articulate what it is that I've experienced. And then I don't even know how to share it. But I feel like I need everybody to know it's real. It's that you guys, what you're hearing, what you're feeling, what you're experiencing, it's real. And once you open yourself to not judging it and not having an expectation of, well, why am I getting this? What am I supposed to do with this information? You know, I give you guys an example. The other day, I got a vision. I went downstairs in my house here, and it's completely gutted downstairs. There's really nothing down there. It's just like a big empty open concrete room. So I go downstairs and I get this vision. I hear like these words saying to me, you're going to need a bucket and some rags. And I'm like, oh, that does not sound good. I'm like, all right. So I was, so I kind of didn't give it like, I was like, okay, there's a bunch of rags here and there's, and I was like, okay, where's the bucket? And I kind of gave it and because everything's kind of in different places. I was like, okay, so I kind of know where everything is. Well, I can't remember if it was, yes, it was later that day.
I know exactly where you're going.
All of a sudden I hear from downstairs, I need your help. There's a flood down here. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And I'm telling you, it was holding the hands around the pipe, kind of water everywhere. And I'm talking the walls, the ceiling, the floor, everywhere. I'm like, rags in a bucket, huh?
I like how they think the bucket would suffice for the amount of water that was coming out. They didn't say how big of a bucket.
We needed the shop vac to get rid of that crap.
Oh my gosh.
So, and then I say to myself later, what good is this information if I don't know how to use it and when to use it? And they're like, what more would you have liked to do? So we dismiss what we receive, and we do not create change in our lives. We do not manifest the changes that we desire in our lives because we dismiss our own intuition. We're dismissing. And so I was laughing today because of the symbols that I was drawing, which were a little indicative for all of us and Alicia and us. I've got my key. So I've got my key here. So I'm drawing as she's talking, and she's actually reading a letter. And I'll just I'm not even going to paraphrase. She was reading a letter from information she received from Michael Jackson. And so we were talking about that. And so I was receiving this information from him while she was talking and reading this letter. So I'm laughing. And then the key, and all of a sudden I started drawing these little symbols and things. This is the date. So 10, 12.
The key and the pyramid and stuff. That's when I was telling you about like the latest Ramsey stuff, and like it just nicely goes together, like all the me's and the nows and the blooming flowers and all that. So
and then I have my little button here that says create change, and it was the same kind of color and so she and I did it again. I had black on today, and I mean, I have all black on. And right before we went to hang out, I hear in my head, that psst, and so I grabbed this jacket real quick, put it on, and it's like the same exact color as her necklace. And I'm just like, for real,
We always do that because we're always in sync. So everything happens perfectly in its own timing. And I was going to say, when you were talking about that, so many people want to know, like, well, how do you open yourself to be a channel, or how do you know to trust that that you're talking to Michael Jackson, or how can you do all these things? And like the simple answer is trust. You have to trust yourself before any of that.
Okay, and let me ask you the same question we talked about earlier. Then, how do you know? How do you get past the ego thing of, well, what should I share and what shouldn't I? How people going to receive this information? And if I'm too bright and shiny, what are people going to think about that? And what if I say, but what if you don't? If you don't tell people, then we're giving each other permission. If Bashar, if Daryl Anka hadn't started channeling Bashar, and then we had all the other ones that even before that who were doing this work, let's go back, Miss Historian, to like the Edgar Cayce's of the day, and the they were simply sharing, putting their toe in other parallel realities and seeing other versions of Earth. And let's talk about that for just a second, how hard that is for us to remember, as we were talking about earlier, that we are literally shifting through billions and billions of parallel realities moment by moment. So when someone says, which version of the Earth do you want to be on? Well, that means literally, which one do you want to reside on that's more of a reflection of the Earth that you want? And every single time I ask my guys or say, I want to be on an Earth that cares more about this, or that acts more like this, or that even something in my family, for example, I had a situation in my family recently where they had some medical tests done, and there was a diagnosis. And I was like, okay, is that the diagnosis that I want to experience, even though it's somebody else's diagnosis? And then it went into how much of me as a healer can heal somebody if they aren't asking for healing, but how does that relate to the reality I want to experience with this person? It got very, very intertwined. And the downloaded information I was receiving about all of that, about that, yes, you have to allow them their experience, and that just because somebody is having a medical experience that you would consider dire or unpleasant, or that you don't get to dictate unless they're asking, you for healing. You don't get to choose their experience, because their theme may include them not getting well, and you've got to be okay with that. And you can't let your ego say, well, I have to fix that. However, then this is where it gets a little weird because then I said, but I don't want her to experience that. If she is looking for healing and does not want to experience that thing, and I also don't want to, then how about if I move to a reality in which we both would like to experience her not having to go through that? Now, this is what's really weird, you guys, because as Alicia and I are having this conversation prior to going live, this person sent me a message privately and said, guess what? The diagnosis was incorrect. I do not have what they thought, and I will not be going through what I thought I was going to be going through.
That's awesome.
Now,
That's awesome.
But so you see, you guys, it's not just this or this or this or this. Everything is possible. And just because you can't fathom or imagine only one or two or three or four of those versions, we've got to trust that our higher selves are sending us information and our guides have our backs. That we've got to trust that what you're getting in that now is going to propel you to that version of your life that you prefer to live. You're that powerful. We are that powerful. And we've got to start understanding and owning that power in order for us to begin to begin to self-heal things like self-worth.
Yep.
And self-worth, believe it or not, you guys, has been the absolute biggest hurdle for me, I know, in this lifetime. And then all of a sudden I was thinking about you again this week, Alicia, because I started thinking about my ancestors. And I'm talking about only, say, the last couple hundred years. I could feel them with me. I could see them. I could hear them saying to me, and I've got my pendulum here with the Council of 11, how they break, how we change our perception of our past when we change our now. And I love Michael's nows now. Oh, what did he?
Oh,
okay, wait. What did he say at the end? Was
I can share that.
Is your now better than?
So Michael wrote a letter to me, and at the end, this is how he signed it. He said, "I hope your now is now a better now." I hope your now is now a better now. He's all about the now is now. And so Wendy and I, we just, every time we think about that, it just brings a smile to our face, and like, we just light up. It's so funny.
So I the key, so I'm hearing now, the key to manifestation is
in your drawing.
Yeah. It's trusting. I forgot to turn on. It's getting dark. I have to turn my pair.
It's all about trust.
And so when someone says to me, well, what are you getting in these light languages? Well, how do you know what you're speaking? Well, how do you know if what you're bringing through is high frequency energy? How do you know you're talking to the angels? How do you know when it's the Lyrans or the, because I'm trusting what I'm feeling. And even the other day, I was having a really hard time, and I could just feel like that Mother Mary energy just wrapping herself around me, saying, trust what you're receiving. That's what the biggest message was all about the masters, that they realized at the end of the day that they really did have all of the information, that they had access to all of the information that they ever wanted. And that we're always looking for an outside source to give us validation, recognition, to and yet we have to, it's like we who do this are giving each other validation. We're receiving our own validation, but yet we're trying to teach everybody you don't need any validation.
Right, exactly. And it's so true, though. It's all about trust. Like, every time I talk today, I'm like, it's all about trust. It's all about trust.
It's all about trust.
It's something that I think all of us are constantly working on, because even though Wendy and I trust ourselves, our private conversations together, we're all about building more trust with ourselves, because each of us are validating what the other one is saying, and that helps to build your own trust. And so Love Light Shining says, it's so much better than my old now. I don't even remember my old now. And that's fine. Like, it's okay to not, because if you're not remembering it, then you're not supposed to remember it.
Well, even Bashar said in the event that he said, we don't remember anything. We don't memorize anything. We don't need to, because we always know and trust we're always going to be right when we need to be, where we need to be, with whom we need to be. We don't need to plan. We don't need to memorize. We already know whatever it is that we need to know in that now. We already know. We will receive it right then. And the thing that we humans need to remember is we get so excited about what to do with this information, and we haven't even gotten to SheWolf, and I don't want to forget, but we don't know what to do with this information. And then, but we have to know expectations, go, okay, how is this information serving me in this now? How is it helping me expand? How does it help me become more aware of me, of all that I already am, that I've forgotten about? And during the event, there was a couple of things that really shook my world. And one of them was in the 5 levels of mastery. And I know this message was for me, because as soon as I heard it, I was like, okay, why am I having this emotional reaction to this information? And all of a sudden, he said something, she said, Bashar was actually channeling Willa, and Willa was talking about the cryptics and the nature spirits, and the first step to becoming the master is to become aware that you are speaking to everything at all times. Everything in nature is speaking to you, that you are constantly having a conversation, and that it's always going on, whether you're aware of it or not. And that once you become aware of it, it really opens up these doors. And as she was speaking, she started talking, and this is what was really interesting too, is she started talking about her connection to Anu.
Oh,
I know. So I was like, oh, she's going to love that. So she was talking about that. And then she said something about, and I can't even remember what the questioner, I got to hear it again. I didn't get a chance to listen to it again before we hung out. And the questioner was, and she said something about, just like SheWolf, and then what is it? Romulus and
Romulus and Remus.
And I was like, oh, SheWolf. And I burst into tears. I was like, what the hell? I was like, okay. And all of a sudden I felt, and I heard them, I hear this like voice, and it says, yes, part of you, you carry the archetype energy of this SheWolf. And I still don't know anything about the story other than what I've looked up in Wikipedia and sent it to Alicia. And I'm like, oh, what's this?
So, well, I can, for all you guys listening out there, we can talk about the SheWolf.
And then it has something to do with, and Venus, because the Venus and Mars are the parents. And so it has something to do with the fact that Venus is retrograde right now.
So, okay. So for those of you guys that don't know the story of Romulus and Remus,
which I don't,
I have it up here just so I don't get lost. But so, basically, these are two brothers that were born. There was a princess, who she was the daughter of a former king. Okay. So like she was in her grove enjoying like coffee and tea in her like little flower grove. And then Mars was like, oh, she's kind of pretty. Let's go down there and see what happens. So he comes down, and then things happen in the grove amongst the flowers and the trees. And next thing you know, she's pregos, right? So we're bringing this into the now, man. We're bringing this into the now. So, okay. So it wasn't really, it was Venus in the sense of like a woman, but not like Venus in the sense of like the planet, the goddess, but like the woman is, does that make sense? Okay. But it was Mars. Okay. So like it's all good, right? She has these kids. She has the brothers, the two brothers, they're twins, Romulus and Remus. And the twins are very happy. They live a normal life. They work in the fields. Things are all good. And so then they hear about some happenings back in the bigger city. They have no idea that they're actually like royal bloodline. They have no idea. So they do a little bit of digging on the way to like this royal city. And they realize, oh my God, like we actually would be the heirs of what's actually going on here. And like this guy who is like our evil brother or our evil brother-in-law is trying to take down like the dude that we actually love and we need to support. And so they're like, okay, we're gonna help you out because like this is our kingdom too. So they like start this whole battle thing, and they end up like winning. They end up winning, and so the grandfather restores these two to the throne, and so now these guys are like ruling over. I can't think of what city it was, but so anyway, they weren't having like a really good. They weren't like yin yang about deciding what should happen now that they're like both ruling. They were having problems Does that make sense? Like, okay, so they were going to go out and they were going to start new cities. They were going to each have their own city. They actually wanted to combine it into one city, but they couldn't decide where that one city should go. So they split off into the two. And then they're like, oh, wait a minute. Like, I love you really much and we got along really good until I realized that we were royalty. Now I really want to kill you, because if I kill you, then I can just go rule whatever city I want, wherever I want, and then I can have your kingdom too. And so they start this like huge tiff. One kills the other. I think Romulus kills Remus. And so Romulus went on to found his own city of Rome. So Rome, right? Okay. So this is where, like, they say his ideas are where, like, the institutions, the government, the military, religious, Rome is like based off Romulus's ideas. So he reigned for many years as the first king of Rome. So
this is really interesting too, because in one channeling, in one life, they said I was like some sort of a pope or something. And then I've always felt like my partner had something to do with Rome and the beginning of Rome. This and like Caesar.
I forgot about this, Wendy. So, okay, let's back up. I was so excited about it.
But before all of that though, how did she and what's her name? How do you pronounce that?
Okay, so let's back up. So like they
how did she end up adopting them? That was what I was like, okay.
Okay, yeah. So they actually she had these twins, and then Mars like didn't know that this whole thing was going on, and she's like, oh crap, like I have these twins, what am I supposed to do with them? So she abandons them in the woods to die, because there's like really, so the SheWolf then comes and like nurses.
Yes, because
this is like the most important part of the story, and I forgot. And so this is where the SheWolf comes in, because the SheWolf then nurses them, and then when you look up Romulus and Remus, you see them like suckling from the SheWolf.
Right, exactly.
Breasts. And so like the SheWolf is like the mother to all, right? See, this is where the Anu stuff
this is
comes
what's
in.
So weird, you guys, because as soon as she said SheWolf, I burst into tears, and I had no idea, honest to God, no idea what SheWolf even was or this story. And then when they said that about, and I was like, and now I didn't even know this now about like mother to all, the suckling. Then it started all of a sudden, as I'm reading the stuff in Wikipedia, I'm like, oh my God. And I started seeing, and my connection to the hybrid children, and us talking. Remember when we were talking a couple of weeks about nursing the hybrid children? And I'm like, holy crap, this is all connected.
It totally is all connected. I mean, that's pretty much what the SheWolf is. The SheWolf is the mother. And
the fact that my name is Wendy Wolf, you guys, did not escape me, because that is the name I was born with.
This is where, you guys, when stuff like this happens, this is where you're like, oh, it's probably just coincidence.
It's just a coincidence.
It's not coincidence.
You're like, no.
There's coincidence is like your truth. Like coincidence is like a red flag saying, hey, we're pretty much like showing you what's going on. Like, pay attention.
Coincidence and synchronicity is the markers of your truth. That is your guide saying, yes. Yeah. Oh, perfect.
Yeah. And like, so I have another Michael story, but this kind of brings it home, where when I was younger, I didn't understand what was going on.
Hi, Heather.
Hey, Heather.
I just wanted to say hi to everybody. I'm kind of looking at I don't pay as attention as Alicia does, because I'm too busy talking. So I'm like, oh, I should look at
So like, when I was younger and I was having these experiences in astral, like remember, you guys, it wasn't just me, like there's other people there. So, but when I was having these experiences with Michael Jackson and astral, in the 3D, I, for whatever reason, jumped onto a chat group. This is when chats were like brand new. This is like when the internet was like brand new. I'm dating myself.
It's 555, girl.
Woohoo! I was gonna high five you.
And then 5, 10, 15. Oh my God! I looked at the clock. It was 5:55, and then today. Okay, that was weird. Awesome. Sorry, you guys.
This is good. So maybe this is a good. Maybe this is a good story.
That's a good thumbs up for your story.
That is. okay, so like I never go in chat rooms. I never just, but I did for whatever reason. And all of a sudden this person comes on and I'm talking and I'm like, wow, this is me remembering it from that time. I was like, wow, this energy is the same as the energy in my dreams. This is really weird. Why would this person be here? So he's like, do you want to set up a separate room so we can just chat? And I was like, yeah, like, cool. Like, I'm not dumb. Like, I think I know what's going on here, right? But so like we're chatting about like just random normal stuff that we always chat about. And so then he's like, I really got to go. And I said, hey, wait a minute. Let me give you my email address. Because I was thinking, I know exactly who this person is. And so he actually sent me a letter. And I still have the letter, Wendy. He sent me a real email. And I have the letter. And I saved it because I thought the coincidence is just too random. I'm going to save this. Something in the future is going to like explain this all to me. And I did. The last time I talked to him, I asked him questions and he filled in the blanks. And he's like, yeah, I did write you that letter. And I said, well, why could you not like let me send a letter back to you? Because we could have had fun. And he's like, I wouldn't have gotten anything done if I would have, So like, these are like big red flags that you inside yourself, inside your innate self are like, wait a minute, I know this to be true. And then your outside self is like, whoa, that's just too weird. Those things don't happen.
And my dream, my dream state this last week has been out of this world. And I know I'm connecting to all of you guys. I know it's like, I wake up and I know I've been with a bunch of us. I know we've been doing a bunch of stuff. And then I got a gift in the mail from, a viewer, a friend of ours, that's in our circle here. And all this, even the synchronicities just in what I received was like uncanny, because even though she probably has no idea that the synchronicities, they were questions that I had been asking my guides. And the weirdest part about it was each element that was a part of this gift, which included photographs, and every single thing was like a specific answer. It was the weirdest thing ever. And she had even created something out of the photograph. And even that in itself was an answer to me about something that I had been contemplating. See, she doesn't even live in this country.
That's so synchronistic, Wendy, because that's the same thing I did with that letter and any other random things that lined up. And so I do have this big Michael Jackson scrapbook, but everything, it was just really random things that lined up because I knew it was going to be there, or something was going to be shown to me at some point. Just trusting myself without trusting myself. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yes, because sometimes we don't even know. We don't even consciously think, like, sometimes we don't even think all the way through. Like, we just know, we're just guided. Oh, I'm going to save this thing and I'm going to, you know what I mean? And even things that I've been finding in the street. Okay, I was on my walk today, right before we hung out. And all of a sudden, I mean, I live on a gravel road, you guys. I mean, of all the things that you can see in, the mile back and forth or whatever, and you're walking, what do I spot is this little teeny, tiny little shiny thing. And I look down and it's just nothing but a little bolt, a little tiny bolt that goes on a nut. But what I realized was it was the shape. They were showing me the shape of it's the sacred geometry of the shape of this bolt and the circle within it. And it was like I got this download about sacred geometry, and I have drawn that shape in my drawings before, but I didn't draw it as a bolt. I just drew it. And then it was like, there was some weird connection that happened. But this is what I'm talking about.
It's
how do you even
aha moments?
Yeah, but how do you even explain it? Because it seems so stupid and trivial, but yet it was like.
But see, that's what we were talking about, Wendy, because some of these things, we don't quite know how to explain it to you guys. And so, like, this is one of the reasons we had that discussion beforehand, because we had to hash it out in such a way in which it was easy to explain what we were getting at. Right? I mean, that's
right. Really easy.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
and I
and
love
so basically like, oh yeah.
Tara teases, I hear you in my dreams speaking light languages, Wendy. And I wake up and I know that we've been together. Like we've been together speaking light languages and learning healing. And I've been doing this kind of stuff and teaching. And the dreams are so bizarre. And I'll wake up a couple of times in the middle of the night and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, don't lose it. Don't lose it. Don't lose it.
Yes, I do the same thing.
It's gone. I'm like,
the same thing.
And I'm really bad about waking up in the middle of the night and writing like in the dark. And I can't, it's like, I can't, I'll lose it.
And we don't keep our phones in with us. Like
no,
some
me
people
either.
just
I don't have
them,
any.
But it's so much better to like not put your phones in.
No, I do not carry. I don't carry any I don't keep any technology that I can, if I have in my room, and I especially do not keep my phones in here. And I really make a point too in the morning not to touch any technology for as long as I possibly can. Yes.
No, that does not include the coffee maker though.
No, it does not. Sorry, guys. Me and coffee have a deep love affair.
Right. Me too.
Deep.
Me too.
It's very grounding for me. I don't drink a lot, but I got to have my cups of coffee. So I love it.
Let's pull a card or 2 or 10.
All right. And also, you know what? I just got the idea too that, we get a lot of this information and I want to solidify this really quick too, while we're shuffling and stuff, with a light language, kind of like a light language activation for you guys to say, okay, helping us all manifest more. Oh, and number 6, extend. So 15.
How perfect is that?
Exactly.
Extend your belief system into believing what is happening around you, because that is your own truth. It's all about extend.
And the further you can extend your without expectation of these are the only, I trust that I'm going to be shown something amazing that I am not even able to comprehend. So I'm going to visualize the best thing I can possibly visualize and then let go of the expectation of how it needs to come to me, because I know that my higher self can bring me that or better. So I wanted to do a quick kind of a illumination of anything that we need to see. I've been having a lot of illuminations, meaning lighting up things even in my awareness about my own self-worth and value that I don't think I realized we're still as deeply, I don't like to use the word hidden, because nothing's hidden from us. Not really. It's just, awareness.
We're just hidden from ourselves until
we're ready.
Decide to unhide ourselves from ourselves.
And we're never going to get anything any sooner than we can understand it or process it. But you guys, you're never going to get it any later either. We always feel like, oh, I should be doing more. Oh, I should know more. Oh, I have this expectation that I should be doing more with this stuff, or I should be receiving more. We have to lose that expectation and the expectation of how it's going to come. And then we are able to actually manifest things truly beyond our wildest imagination. So.
So okay, wait, can you hear me? I had to undo my,
Yeah, you're good.
Headphones are new for me, so I'm working on it. I have one normal human eardrum and one Palladian eardrum, and so my Palladian eardrum is very, 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 very small, so it always makes it really difficult for like anything I have to like stick in my ears. So now the more you know.
I know.
So I was gonna say something really important, and then my ear story got in there. Here, this is what I was gonna tell you guys. So when I was randomly walking up the steps, I had a new being pop in, and I actually knew this. I knew this new being because this being had been previously channeled the night before, and that's the only reason I recognized who he was, because I don't really know much about it. But I had just come up the steps, and I had said to myself, I said, well, I don't really care if my twin follows through or not, because I'm just going to drop it. And this voice, this pounding voice in my head said, don't say that, because you know that's not true. Don't say things that you know are not true to yourself. And I was like, huh, very wise words.
And isn't it seem simple?
So it's so simple and so wise, but sometimes, you get so frustrated. But I like that they're always there reminding us, or reminding myself, because I still do once in a while, like, think those things. And Exactly. It's true. How true? It's so true, because then I got this whole, I call it a lecture. It probably was like a very nice talking to.
I call them lectures too.
Okay, good. It was a lecture,
Or
you guys. It was a lecture. Yeah. And he pretty much said, you complain and you think that this is all on your twin, and that you get frustrated with your twin. But did you ever think that because you are connected, you are one and the same, that your twin's progress in this whole thing, because we're working on something big right now, your twin's progress in this whole thing is related directly to how you believe and talk about and see your twin's progress going. Therefore, if you say things like, oh, I don't really care what you do with this, or if you follow through, that's exactly what's going to happen. And if you keep thinking, well, he hasn't followed through in the past, so why is he going to follow through now? Well, you just dug yourself a hole. So I said, because I'm always smart with, I said, but here's the deal. He makes his own reality. So if he would give me something to show that he has been progressing and working, then I would change my frame of thought. And they were very sly. This is what they told me. They said, he is you and you are him. Ergo, it makes no difference if he decides that he is going to or not going to try or work through this current thing you're going through, because on your side, if you decide that he is not going to try or not going to work, you will never hear any progress that he makes. And I was like, ooh, mic drop. Well done.
Yeah, exactly. That's definitely what I call them, celestial slaps in the head. Like, shoot, dang.
Right, but like, and it's okay, because it's weird, because like, I know this, I innately know this, but I'm only human. No, I'm so much more than human, but I do need to be reminded every once in a while just how intertwined we all are as one big family, and how one thought affects the whole. And this is something that Ramses has been teaching me, is that once you become aware of all the different yous, or some of the different yous, or when you become aware of you and you realize that there's more going on than just you in this moment, in this now, you realize that even though you are thinking and you are acting and you are doing on this now affects the whole. So all of you is currently affected by what you do here on all your different yous, on all your different timelines. Does that, I mean, that's a lot.
And that's where we understand now, this is where our ability for quantum healing comes in. And this is where the light languages help you guys, because, and these symbols that we write and all the stuff, because it filters out through all of those layers of all the yous that aren't even aware of what, like she just said. And that this is how we can heal. When we say heal, help another being find their true core connection to source and their own light by you sending that information out to all the yous, because that's what changes everything.
Right. Because vibration is non-dimensional. I shouldn't say that, but that is what it is. So when you send out a vibration, it trickles through all the dimensions, all the vibrations.
And think of it this way too, you guys. If we literally carry DNA, if we literally carry within us, let's call it memory, just for lack of a better word. If our DNA literally carries memory of pieces of all these other parts of us, where, say, for example, I have an indescribable fear of heights, which I do, but for no explicable reason, because I have never had a trauma dealing with height. So I don't understand it. Now, we understand that there's another piece of us that could have had a trauma that had to do with height. And for some reason, we feel that. Now, if we can, in essence, then understand our connection to all of that, then we can send that healing both directions. And even if that person had a trauma, let's just say the person had a trauma, let's just say they even died. Maybe you're experiencing the trauma of somebody actually falling off a cliff or something, or a building, and they die. And you're feeling the trauma of deciding that on a higher level, you wanted to experience that experience, because that's the way this works, guys, believe it or not, like it or not, that's the way it goes. We decide those experiences, but we are also experiencing that experience on a multidimensional level. So if we can heal, in other words, like, okay, so I went parasailing because I thought, okay, if I go parasailing and I'm 750 feet in the air, will that cure my fear of heights? So I did it. I faced my fear. I went up there. And then when I was up there, I went, what on God's earth am I doing up here? I'm scared to death. But I did it. And even my husband, who doesn't have a fear of heights, who can work on these big, I mean, he was an electrician. So he's way up in the, way up in the air, and bucket trucks and all that. No fear of heights whatsoever. Says to me, no, I'll be down here on the ground watching and taking pictures. Wanted nothing to do with it.
You are so awesome.
Now, it didn't actually, did it cure it? I can't say that I necessarily cured it, because but now I can go out on a balcony or climb a ladder and not freak out. But you know what I think is more to do with it? Because I'm not afraid to die anymore. Since I'm not afraid to die anymore, which isn't really the subject here at all. But the point is that by me doing that, then I felt just now this ripple of guidance telling me that by me doing that parasailing thing, I lessened the trauma for the part of me that did have the trauma, which will then in turn lessen the trauma I receive.
Yep, exactly.
Isn't that weird?
And so that's we actually have a term for that, and I'm trying to think.
Of course there is. I didn't even know that.
But we do. We have a label, because we have labels for everything.
Because we have labels for everything.
Oh, that is what is called. Thank you. I don't know who put that in my head, but so it's called soul retrieval. So what you did, Wendy, is you brought a piece, however small, back to complete you, and so that's called. And this actually fits in really well, because this is what. A little bit of what I've been going through too, with working with Ramses and bringing back those pieces that, for whatever reason, I can't tell you specifics, I just have feelings of. And once you learn that all your nows are connected, and that not only do you have your past experience memories, some of them, whatever is prevalent in your now, but that you may be borrowing some past life experience memories from somebody. It gets very complicated, very, very complicated. But what you can do is when you start trusting And
there's
realizing
that T word again.
There's the T word. Realizing that the synchronicities are actually there to open your eyes and to teach you, you are more able to jump to those specific, pick out those specific timelines and pull back those soul pieces that are actually needing to be healed. And so it all actually, it goes together. Like Wendy, like Heather said, yes, Temple, it makes sense in a no sense. Wait, I gotta. She's speaking like Michael now. What's going on? She goes, yes, Temple, it makes sense and no sense
simultaneously. Yeah.
Well said, Heather. Well said.
Well, when a friend of mine made this for me, and as soon as I received it, I started getting these downloads, and I heard the Council of 11 come, and there's 11 links on this. And so I actually use this for myself as well as clients for doing just exactly what we talked about. The Council of 11, they said to me, and she made this for me, excuse me, with 11 links on purpose. Because she knows my 11, I'm 11, birth path number and a master number and all that. But so the point was, when she gave this to me and I connected with them, that's exactly what they said is part of what you're here to do is to help people understand that everything is connected to everything, that there's nothing that you can't access or heal. Heal is such a relative term that I almost want to come up with a whole new word for it, but you can literally heal the links, all the links that are attached to each and every piece and part of you that exists, and if we could even for just a second try to wrap your minds around, okay, just think of your own family and your own family, physical family. Then you think about how we're all connected to each other, like in all the cities and the towns and then the earth. And then if you take that and multiply that by, all of the planets and now you as a consciousness have the ability, each and every one of us that's created is a consciousness that has the ability to create an infinite number of these chains. I mean, we can't even begin to understand. I mean, not even close.
There's no way in your 3D self that you can possibly comprehend how many yous are out there. Now, I mean, I have comprehended many of them, and it gets overwhelming. It gets overwhelming at times, but
that's why we can't do this. That's why we can't know it all, you guys, in this 3D reality. We already know it all up there on those levels, but you can't know all that now, and we're not supposed to, because it's supposed to be a 3D expression that we're teaching everybody how to do this. But you'd physically blow up. Your brain would. That's why most of them can't just land here in our living room or walk through the wall, because your brain would kind of like implode.
Right. And that's you did a really good job like bringing it full circle, because even though we always talk, like all the starseeds and all the galactic humans and all of us, we always talk about, oh, we want to go home. I don't feel comfortable in this human body. That's why we're here. Like that's why we have some of these things shut off to us, but we are capable of understanding and growing and showing others how to do it, because we've already done it numerous times. We're just here to redo it one more time, to teach as we go, and to enjoy the human body and the human senses for all it's worth. Remember, the simple fact of seeing clearly, we talked about that before, Wendy, through Jim, when we were channeling with Michael, that's a human thing, to be able to see the way we can see through our own eyes, or to feel, to smell. Like those things are very human things. To eat like deep fried cheese curds, which I absolutely love, like that's a human thing.
I know, exactly.
And we really need to, even though like everybody always says, oh, we need to focus on this spiritual thing and that spiritual thing, we need to balance everything, or work on balancing everything, to understand and focus why we're here in our human bodies and what that means, and how important that really is, and how we shouldn't take that for granted, because it is a very special thing. So,
and for Alicia and I too, we could be doing hangouts all the time and just be doing nothing but light language healing. Like just say, okay, I'm going to turn on the camera and that's all we're going to do is send out light languages or send out healing intentions, or we're going to channel some information. We're going to channel these beings, or we're going to take questions from the audience. There's a billion, we all can do those things. But I think there's a part that I think that Alicia and I can appreciate when we get together, that yes, we have all of these abilities and and we can share them and do them with people. But the thing is, all of us are still trying to figure out, the ultimate question is, what does it mean to my experience here? How it's all, like you said, it's about the experience. It's about eating my whole diet. That's really funny you said that too about the cheese curds, because my whole diet has gone these big shifts, and with it went belief systems. And if you know what I mean? It was like everything was evolving, and as my belief systems would evolve and change, and I become more self-loving and self-accepting of it's as if then my molecular structure, my DNA and my cells would say, I want something different now. I don't want to eat that anymore. Or what I used to believe was not good for me. Now they're telling me, yeah, you kind of need some of that. And you need to think about your belief systems, because what's happening is you're creating a resistance to your own path of least resistance again, because of your belief systems. Instead of just trusting, there's that T word again.
T-word.
Instead of just trusting your body when you wake up and say, okay, guys, what do you need today? All of a sudden, they started telling me about certain things to do and not do. And instead of having expectations or saying, well, I don't agree with that because no, listen to your body, eat what it tells you, when it tells you. And if it's incongruent with your current belief system, you've got to stop and ask yourself then, where am I not listening to my heart and my body? And where am I letting my belief systems filter through what it is that my higher self is trying to tell me, or that my cells are trying to tell me? Because we compartmentalize ourselves and label ourselves. And once you do that, your whole reality is based upon that compartmental. For example, I'm this, I'm that, I'm vegan, I'm vegetarian, I'm this, I'm that. Once you compartmentalize yourself, you have closed yourself off to the communication between you and your body and your higher self, because now your belief systems are not going to allow anything else in. Nothing. Even if it's good for you.
This is why Wendy and I have a hard time explaining who we are, because I am me. I'm just me. I try to listen to my body. I try to, like, what's going on up here. I try to listen to the signs. Like, I'm me. I don't feel the need to be like anybody else or eat like anybody else, or I don't have a need to always have labels for myself. If you would come up to me and say, so what are your gifts? I would be like,
this is why it's so hard for me. I can't even say that. So, people, you got to tell people like what you do, but it's not who I am.
You know what I'm going to start doing, Wendy? If people do that, all I'm going to do is I'm going to just like take my finger and I'm just going to put it on the third eye. I'm like, now you know. Now you know. But so Wendy was talking about eating, and this is a really good example. I'm going to give you like a straightforward example of how your belief systems can interfere with sometimes what your body is actually wanting, or what is been craving by your body to like bring you into a new you. So a lot of times you hear people like, oh, well, you need to be vegan, or you need to be like breatharian, the people who live off
breatharians,
air.
Living on air,
you know, or you need to be whatever, all these things. Don't eat meat, well, there are actually some galactic humans here who their galactic self, like their galactic people, their galactic group, they eat meat. So they have to eat meat. Like you just eat meat. It's not does that make sense? Like,
oh, believe me, honey, I've went the rounds with this. I quit eating meat. I quit eating meat a long time ago, and I'm just going to say it out loud. I started eating it again.
That doesn't mean you have to like gorge yourself on meat, but like if your body is craving meat, that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. That means it's a bad thing to somebody else in their own universe and their own themselves, of their best version of themselves, not what your best version of yourself is. Okay, so like I think this all ties together really well, because tonight we're asking people to watch for the synchronicities, because the synchronicities are their truth. Stand in your truth. Realize your truth. Get comfortable with your truth. Don't be thinking about, oh, well, I imagined this, so what does that mean? Like, look at it like, oh, this is my truth. This is part of my
I just remembered I posted that today, Alicia. I completely forgot. I posted the pictures of remember with the turtle and the...
Yes. And then I said, I just did a reading for somebody, and then their things that came out was the turtle and the falcon, and you were the turtle and the eagle.
And I couldn't believe it. And that's what my guides said that to me. I've had those pictures for a long time. Years and years. And all of a sudden they said to me, post those pictures, and these are the words to use: seek your truth, see your truth, and speak your truth.
That's so funny, because I probably just saw the pictures and was so excited that like there was another synchronicity.
Isn't that weird though, how we've been talking all day about truth and I didn't even put the two and two together?
That's what you should title the thing, because that's what this is all about. That's what this is all about. It's about realizing the best of you and not having to feel like you have to.
And it's your truth, you guys. It's not. This is why we share our truth, because even if it's different, it validates your own truth. Because
as crazy as our truths are,
yeah, exactly,
our crazy truths to validate your crazy truths. Exactly, we're all a little crazy. And the Palladian Arcturian Council keeps telling me that it's okay to tell your story, because what is normal is changing. And I love the fact that they use one of those blanket terms, to group it. What is normal is changing, and that's so true.
I love that. What is normal is changing.
Yeah, there is no normal. Like normal is another word that shouldn't be in the dictionary.
The Shikani said something to me one time in a meditation, and they said to me, everything is relative, and we already kind of know that, the whole thing, but now we know it more than we ever did, right?
Yeah.
So they said to me, for example, you guys base everything on the speed of light, as if that's the speed of light.
I was going to say, this is going to get really good. I can totally tell where this is going.
So, if you change the speed of light and you realize one day that what you thought was the speed of light is no longer the speed of light, then absolutely every single else that's relative to that idea unravels.
Yep.
Everything.
And so this happens in the historical community a lot. So
yes,
they will say, oh, well, if you're reproducing blah, 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 you can only do it using these materials, or you can only do it using these patterns, because they didn't have blah, blah, blah back then. So let's fast forward like 5 years, and they'll be like, oh, the only way you can do this is if you do this. And someone will say, well, wait a minute, 5 years ago, we couldn't do that. And they'll say, well, we've now found new evidence. And so then it just turns everybody on their side, and then they get all upset and they have to start over from scratch. And really, that's what we're doing here with you, except in a bigger way. We want you to look at this from a different perspective than maybe what you're used to looking at.
That is really funny, because I had in another life, in another me, but really it was in this one, but you know what I'm saying.
But you're always a new you. Yeah.
It was funny. I had a bunch of shoulder surgeries, rotator cuff. So anybody out there who's ever had rotator cuff surgery or who's ever known anybody, oh my God. So, but what's weird is I had a bunch of them, 6 of them through over a course of 10 years. What's really weird about this is, and it reminds me of a whole nother story too, but the very first surgery I came home with, I mean, my bandages were like, I swear to God, like out to here. I was this massive bandages, and I was in a sling, and then I had an ice machine strapped to me, and it was like something out of a sci-fi movie, right? So as each surgery happened over the years of through 10 years time, my very last one, or short there toward the, it was like, I think the last one. So I go out and I buy all these bandages and stuff, right? And get everything ready for before surgery. And I leave the hospital with a bandage like this big on. That's it. And I was just like, it was weird. It was almost, I had this like weird, like, well, that's disappointing. I already bought all this shit.
And that's such a good example, because you see that in the medical profession all the time. My dad just had hip surgery, and years ago, you would have stayed in the hospital for like at least a week.
Oh yeah, now they kick your butt out there and they're like, get up and walk, get up and walk, get up and walk.
My dad's like, I almost didn't make it up the stairs. I can't believe you went up the stairs.
I will say, we don't need to get into any of that, because a lot of that has to do with insurance too. I'm not sure that most people should be going home necessarily, because I know I probably shouldn't, but I wanted to go home though. I'm one of these people who feels you heal better at home, but that's just, it's just my own personal experience. That's all.
I agree too. Doctors, I mean, this would be a very fascinating conversation for a whole nother thing. And
totally.
We can talk about my doctor visits and how I don't go to the doctor anymore, because if I have an issue or whatever, I can usually solve it my own. Or if I have something serious come up, I have the Galactics give me a scan and just tell me what's going on.
Yes.
And so like, it just, because every time I would go into the doctor with like whatever, this one time, swear to God, they were hooking me up to the IVs because they were ready to take my appendix out. And so then I get up into the MRI and I hear in my head, like my team laughing, and they're like, it's not your appendix. It's just a really bad update. And I said, you have to be kidding. I said, I have this stuff flowing through my veins now. You are going to take my appendix out. And I said, I'm not leaving this hospital with an appendix. So then they just kind of laughed, and I didn't hear anything from them. So we're sitting, and like, I had the IV in my arm, and they were totally ready to like take me out of that gurney. And the doctor comes back, sits on my bed, and says, huh. He goes, we couldn't even find your appendix. So then you hear my team like laughing. And I was like, get me out of here. Just get me out of here. So I have so many like crazy medical stories like that.
How many people have said that? Even a person who supposedly has multiple personalities, who one personality has a tumor and then the other personality, the body, it's not even in there. You can't even, it's not the same person. It's not even the same reality.
Right.
And you're right. This is what I do the same. And now I'm, disclaimers and all that about, no, we're not physicians, and no entertainment purposes and all that. So, but the thing
entertaining, that is for sure.
I'm the same way though. I know now because of my whole experience with the whole medical, and all that. Now I'm the same way. Give me a scan. And what's weird, you guys? As soon as I'll hear it, like, there's certain things, like even my back, for example, it's like I know right away there's something I'm holding on to that I need to let go of, that is not illuminated, that I'm not seeing, that I'm not aware of. And even you and I, let's talk about, we should wrap up soon anyway, but let's talk about relaxing, because you and I both, and this is really weird, you guys, she and I both broke our baby toes.
Oh, that's right.
Within the last few months, within the last 2 months.
That's right. And then we rebroke them.
And then we rebroke them. Yes. Talk about the universe telling you, you need to slow down.
Yep.
And then, plus there was some other things though. Sometimes we need to take this stuff literally. Then they were starting to ask me some little bit more serious questions, especially when I did it a second time. Well, one, because I was mad and impatient that I couldn't do all of these things that I had to do, because it literally hurt to walk. I really couldn't hardly walk. So, and then when I did it again, I'm like, oh, really? What's the message here? But again, there was also those other things that I was dealing with about not feeling supported.
Wendy, that's what I was dealing with too. That's so
Oh, come on.
No, like seriously, like not on the 3D.
Well,
I'm totally supportive of the 3D. I have an amazing 3D, but like in my other me's, I was feeling totally not supported. That's crazy.
So, and think of it, our feet are our soul support. All day long, they support our weight, our body. They support the what we call gravity, and it keeps us bound here. And yet, if we're not feeling supported, and our feet hurt us for whatever reason you've manifested, whether it's weird stuff with your toes or, I've seen so many people in my life, plantar fasciitis, where as soon as you touch the floor, it's like instant pain. People with heel pain, foot pain, toe pain. I heard it loud and clear. So, is there anywhere in your life that you are perceiving you're not supported? They didn't say not supported. They said perceiving that you're not supported. I'm like, you guys suck.
This is so great, Wendy, because with our talk before we went live, like they totally reiterated to me through you how supported I am, and that they even have the same viewpoint that I have. So I am very supported, but so it was just my perception, right?
And Sacred Geometry Music says in the last 3 months, I have had feet so big that I couldn't walk. Now I know why.
Yay! That's great.
But seriously, this is just, it's crazy how we sometimes don't even Bashar will say, let it be literal. Think about what hurts, and, oh, I got an aching back. Okay, well, maybe you need to think about what is giving you a pain in the ass. What does feel like it's breaking your back? What feels like it's too heavy for you to hold, that you feel that you can't stand up straight or support yourself, or that it hurts to. We have got to ask ourselves these questions. And let me tell you guys, as long as you're ready to hear the answer, you'll hear it.
You will hear it. And this is, okay, so like this is awesome too, because this reiterates back into what we were discussing, because right now, as far as like astrologically speaking, you were talking about the retrograde of Venus. So look that up. We won't talk about it right now. But also Chiron is in retrograde too. And that is going to be bringing up a whole bunch of like really, really deep stuff that we, not even in just this life, but like just really, really deep stuff.
God, I can't believe you said that.
And so this is not just one of the reasons I broke my toe twice, but so like this is where we're realizing where these pains are coming from, but also that we're taking this time now to integrate and heal some of the really, really deep pieces that are still left yet, that we've all been working on.
That's really weird that you mentioned about Chiron being retrograde, because I had another experience a couple days ago in the shower. Again, I do a lot of channeling.
Those are where the best ones happen. I'm telling
you. Oh
you.
my God, the best ones, the best stuff comes through. And once again, I'm just crying my eyes out because I'm listening. I think I was listening to one of my astrology readings while I was in the shower or something. And I heard her say something about Chiron and being the wounded healer. But there was a piece of the story, the history, that I didn't understand. And isn't that funny? His story, history, his story.
Which is, I think, didn't Michael have an album or something like that named that?
Oh, maybe. I don't even, maybe.
Wait.
See, I didn't even know that. So, but what I didn't understand was all of a sudden she said something like Chiron's, was it something like their parents, he was born like out of wedlock or something, and parents didn't want him or something.
That's what Romulus and Remus were born out of wedlock.
Yes, and so all of a sudden I started crying because that it kind of mirrored my own physical reality here on Earth. And so I realized I'm a centaur, you guys. I'm a half man, half horse. So is Chiron. And he's the wounded healer. So all of a sudden I started getting these like downloads, but they weren't really words, but they were like, yes, this is part of what you're here to help do, is, to heal these wounds that people feel about abandonment and lack of self-worth because they felt that they weren't wanted. And I didn't even know this about Chiron.
And I went through that. I'm better now. I'm healed from that now. But most of my current timeline, I had that wounded healer thing of like the whole adoption thing and not being
because you were adopted. See?
Yep.
And isn't that weird how we're having that conversation? My parents were young. They got married. My mom got pregnant. She was very young, didn't finish high school. So talk about carrying things in our DNA that we may not even understand why we have this lack of self-worth. And isn't that weird, you guys, that I would hear that about Chiron, feel that, like I felt that ripple go right through me, and I didn't even realize it was something I was holding on to that was paining me in some way. And I felt this huge release. And then it was like a day or two later that what I asked my guides, what do I need to hear? And then I download the Bashar event about self-worth.
This is fascinating. And I'm glad Chiron got brought up, because I didn't know. This is really weird, like how I'm talking and I have the headphones on. Can you hear me okay?
I hear you fine.
Okay. All right. So this is really weird how it talks about the great healer. He was a great healer, astrologer, a respected oracle. He was said to be the first amongst the centaurs to be highly revered as a teacher and tutor. And amongst his pupils were heroes like Asclepius, Achilles, Jason, Perseus, Hercules.
And here we're Achilles heel. We were just talking about feet. Oh, come on.
That's so crazy. So yeah, I'm gonna have to look into this further, because I didn't really know. This is
very interesting. This could be a whole nother thing.
Greece and Rome. So those are like the two places that were kind of brought up today.
And this is really weird, you guys, too, because my partner's was Roman Catholic, and lots of not good memories there. So you know what I mean? This is another weird thing too. And I don't even know how this is connected, but I'm not religious, not Catholic, don't know nothing about nothing like that.
I just heard, don't worry, you'll be able to know.
But I remember when the Pope that's now serving, when I heard he was a Sagittarius. Now remember, Sagittarians are centaurs. They're half man, half horse. He's a Sagittarian. And I got this like download that said he is going to change the Catholic Church. He is going to turn it upside down and flip it on its head. And because Sagittarians are like the outspoken ones, where the say it like it is, and the teachers and the philosophers and the art and all that. And so it was like I heard this message that it's going to change how we view everything.
And remember, this is the last pope, supposedly.
And yep, and remember, he's the last pope. And then remember, we were talking about how when you have a belief system, that once you change your belief system, and everything that's tied to that belief system crumbles.
That's the tower.
And we haven't even gotten into that. We really should go. I know we were talking about
my twin.
See, we haven't even done light languages. We haven't even pulled a card. So
we never even did. We never even did like blessings. So Wendy, my twin is a Sagittarius too. It's bizarre how this all like.
Oh my God, you know what I mean. Yeah. And what sign are you? What's your sun sign?
I'm a fish. I'm a Pisces.
You're a Pisces. That's right. And so is my Earth sister is a Pisces. So that's very interesting. Okay, so yeah, let's I'm gonna go eat soon. So we'll wrap it up and we'll do a couple cards for you guys. And let's do some light language blessings, kind of like I don't know, like what do we all need to hear? And what messages do we I grabbed the native spirit deck. Perfect. I was guided to that one with the eagle on it. I posted an eagle today, you guys. So the animal kingdom is really and then we're talking about centaurs and Chiron and the wounded healer, the horse. So and then one of the pictures I received from in my gift box was a picture of her dog and a horse. So we've got the Syrian energy, the canine. This is the year of service. This is the Chinese New Year, the Chinese year of the dog. So it's the symbol of service to humanity, as is Sirius, being the dog star, is the symbol of the Sirius energy is about us. When we finally let go of all of these wounds, that when we finally heal these wounds that we perceive as wounds, we literally then begin to see our divine light and how it is that us being in service to the thing that we love doing the most is our divine service. We can't even express our own gifts when we're wrapped up in beliefs that are limiting us and keeping us from thinking things. We think things that aren't true about ourselves. And when we manifest a life built around trusting in the wrong things. We trust in lack. We trust that we can't do something. We trust that we can't heal something. We trust that we aren't good enough, strong enough, and then we don't go out there and express ourselves artistically because we're so wrapped up in lack of self-worth, because we're not trusting that is the healing. That is the healing.
Yep. So this card right here has been sitting on my desk all week. I used it as a bookmark the last time we got together, Wendy. And so I pulled it out and it's just been sitting there staring me in the face. And I think it's so true. I had a friend pull a card for me yesterday and Sekhmet came up. So just a reminder to be strong, that you're stronger than you think you are. And that once you start trusting in yourself and listening to your own guidance, things are going to get better. And yeah, I mean, and she's, talking about like the lions and the Sirius energy and stuff. So she's a good one.
That is, and Sean, I wanted to say hi to my friend Sean, because it's very interesting that Sean showed up and see Sean. Now
shiny Sean.
I wanted to, I was gonna say, is that Sean? Is that my other friend? Is that Sean?
I don't know. I'm asking you. No, I'm asking you.
Yes, that's Sean. And
hey, Sean.
So what's interesting about Willa is actually Irish. She actually lives on Ireland. She lives in the, and so I've always had this deep affinity for Ireland, and so it was interesting that Sean would, and so I also wanted to, he and I've been playing tag back and forth, and we all get so busy in our lives, and even Alicia and I, we always know we're there and supporting each other, even if we can't talk all the time. And so I just want to, we all understand too, that we can't always respond to each other in social media as much as we want to. And as much as I want to respond to everybody, there are not enough minutes in the day to do all the things and respond to everybody. But I just thought it was interesting that he happened to come in tonight too, because Willa is from Ireland and 700 years, upline from us. And I feel so connected to her. And by the way, she's a fox. She's literally a fox, an animal, the fox. And so me being a wolf and the fox, and then them talking, and then her talking about her connection to Anu, and then them talking about the SheWolf. It was just, it was one emotional synchronistic like ride, after another. And I've always felt deeply connected to Sean, and I've seen my own parallel lives and realities in Ireland, even with him in other lifetimes. And I've seen visions and just stuff that was so beautiful and tender and emotional that I didn't even know what I was experiencing. And it's weird, you guys, because in one of those lives, I had these beautiful, I was actually like a midwife maybe for the horses, where I would go in the stalls and actually sing to them. And I think maybe might have been singing light languages, and I would help them, birth, and it was like, how could you even imagine that whole scenario and having a relationship and all this stuff and have it not be real?
Right. Exactly. And so Sean says that he ran into a fox today. No, he said no way. And then Wendy, so today I wore my t-shirt that says 100 or I am Irish and 100% awesome. And I wore my Irish sweater. Like, for those of you guys that are like, they have these awesome Irish sweaters that are like so
I want
woolly
one
and so warm.
So bad. I have been wanting an Irish sweater all my life. That's really weird you said that.
When you put it on, you look like a little snowball, but
I don't care.
Stay so warm. So I was wearing that today, and so to go with your
Sean, yes, you are. We are so powerful. We can perceive that we are not always totally awesome. We get off our track and we start to our self-worth dips, and we forget that we're always, always, always totally awesome. It's just we forget we're totally awesome, and then we have to remind each other. And you know what's weird, you guys? I went to this place many, many, many years ago, this little pub, and this is a whole nother Irish thing, because an Irish pub came up in my awareness last night. And then it's really weird that Sean would show up, and then Willa and the Irish pub, because she even talked about drinking a pint in the Irish pub. And I forgot, you guys, I had my cup sitting on here. Look at the Thirsty Fox.
So you can't make that up. You cannot make that up.
The Thirsty Fox pub. So there you go, Sean.
That's awesome.
That was a message for us today. That's somehow this connection
Wendy,
with Willa.
The Thirsty Fox Pub, because you're thirsty for the truth of yourself.
Yes.
That makes you you. That makes you powerful you. And like Sean says, stay awesome. That makes you the awesome you that you are.
That's just too cool. I flipped over a card, but I'm not understanding the message, so I'm going to go to another card.
All right, I'll do this one.
Okay.
So I flipped over the archangel cards, and I got Michael. And
of course you did.
Of course I did.
Hello, Michael.
You're so funny. You're funny. What does he say? Exaltation. And we have purple. And of course, this is really cute, how the earth is in a heart, because we're supposed to heal the world. That's really funny and ironic. And it's got the Ankh in there as well. So we have the Syrian energy. And I'm just going to read it. Michael's heart sigil brings us to account by opening the 8th chakra, so that we sense, see, and feel the splendor and exaltation of universal love in the great heart of the planet, beating in tune with the universe and galaxy, and then the cosmos. This arrives through Michael's leadership, urging us to love our planet's home as the beautiful blue planet that it is. Emerging through this period of unique galactic evolution, the ending of a 26,000-year cycle on December 21st, 2012, and the beginning of another, exaltation in the intensified state of well-being surging through the neutral pathways and meridians of our body, bringing us to the gates of heaven in an upsurge known as I don't know if I'll pronounce this right, the Samadhi. This is optimum state in which the mind becomes still, merging with the infinite field and unfolding possibility that is source. This state is particularly refined by the exquisite beauty of the planet, and then seeking beyond to the celestial nature of the eternal, ever-loving cosmos. That's perfect.
Okay, so many more weird synchronicities. So Michelle says, I have foxes on my slippers, and it is her Celtic birth sign. So not only are we talking about Ireland and the Celts, and now a fox.
I had the Celts come up in my reading that I did. And I also had the Native Americans come up in a reading that I did yesterday. And then Tara says that she saw a fox running down the road yesterday.
Oh, you guys.
So we are all linked up. This is a really
we are totally all linked up here, all of us together. And so the cards that I pulled are peace pipe. So immediately I get this idea that we're all connected. It's like we're all sharing sitting around the circle, smoking the peace pipe, receiving the shamanic guidance. And yet I'm feeling like we're all connected. Like
we are all feathers that make up the peace pipe.
And this is weird too, because the gift I received had feathers in the envelope. She also had a photograph that she included that looked a lot like this card, Spirit of the Earth, and the sun was shining in such a way. It looks just like, and so here we are, you guys, the Spirit of the Earth. We're literally like breathing each other's information, air, everything's connected. I feel like that peace pipe is like it's this language of love, that we're all speaking the same language. And I can't even describe what I'm seeing here, and how we're all all these spirits of Earth just talking to each other in a big circle.
I picked up transparency, but I have to find it. Have you been able to work with your book, your Mayan?
I haven't had time. No, I wish I had.
Maybe it's up here.
So Michelle says, I've been called to Waterford in Southern Ireland. So, which is interesting, because it's also kind of mirrors Sean's last name. This is just so freaky.
So I have to share this with you guys. So the only good past experience, not good, but the only calm past experience that I can remember with my twin is a life in Ireland, where we had just a small little home, and it was a nice, happy hearth home family type thing. But that is the only experience that I can remember that was calm.
And I had a very similar one where, we were deeply in love, and I had never felt so completely and utterly loved before. And I was birthing this horse, and I felt like this was just like, I was just the luckiest person on the planet to just be in that moment and to be experiencing that. I was feeling what she was feeling. And she had this bright red hair, of course, and just the spunkiest spirit. And I could see me. You know what I mean?
We got to go visit Sean.
I know and Sean was just here in the States visiting. So
that's crazy. Okay, so this actually goes with what you were talking about, self-worth.
The key. Look at the keyhole, you guys.
Oh my gosh,
is that the same card I pulled the last time? It is.
Is it?
I'm almost positive.
That's crazy. And that's because that's right. I totally forgot that you drew the key. You drew the key while I was reading that letter.
Weird.
Okay. So it says identification, actor, exploration of new roles, undefining of the self. Remember we were talking about that in our private conversations about the undefining of self and becoming comfortable in self, so you don't have to put on that fake self of acting.
Yes.
It says, welcome, divine child, to the mystery of transparency, the freedom from definition, which is totally what we were talking about labels, about holding yourself up to somebody else's viewpoint, Stepping into your transparent self, discover and celebrate the divine child, the adventurer, the actor who is now free to explore or play any part of any movement without attachment. The divine child is freed from definitions, yet has all the keys to the costume closet, which is ironic because if you guys know me,
oh God,
and you know that, so
she's the queen of costumes.
I have all these degrees in historical stuff, but we travel a lot, and so one of my passions, not so much anymore, but it used to be collecting original clothing and also hand sewing them to make them identical to the original, so you could not tell the difference. And I worked with a lot of museums in order to do this. So I have more closets full of original historical clothing, and I don't even call them costumes. I call them historical clothes than I do of like my normal everyday clothes. So this is very funny.
I always dressed in vintage clothes, and I bought all my clothes at vintage stores and secondhand stores, and my working life, I wore the stuff to work. Vintage clothes, vintage hats, the whole 9 yards.
And like people, I mean, they don't make clothes like they used to make clothes. And so vintage clothes are the best. In my museum world, when I used to work in the museums, I would wear 1940s suits because they were so perfect. They were so cute. Like the top was big, the waist was skinny, they're just so adorable. So it says, look at how much you identify with the roles you play. With awareness, you can try on unfamiliar roles that life presents for your teaching. Explore the roles that you avoid or resist. Let your magical child be serious, depressed, angry, stuck, or confused as you explore old identifications and undefine yourself from being receptive. And be receptive to all possibilities. Create an open doorway, that's what the key is for, to transparency, in which you respond to the moment from the position of trust with the divine.
Press that word again.
Ding, 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 ding. So that's awesome. And 5, 6, 7. That number was 7.
That's awesome.
Which 7 has been big for Wendy and I lately. We've seen
it's been really big for me lately too, and I just mentioned it again to somebody the other day. But yeah, it's been very big. Funny light. So here we are talking about reaching for the light, finding our light languages, and I'm thinking about light codes again. And so very interesting. Light. Each and every one of us, that's what we're doing. We're finding a light, sharing our light. That's why I start out all the videos with, illuminators and way showers, because we're literally showing each other by sharing our own light and not being afraid. And this is the whole part about sharing your truth and seeking your truth and speaking your truth. I laughed about earlier how we talked about how we're so afraid to shine our light because we're so afraid what other people are going to think about us doing that. But yet we have to do that because there's people waiting to hear what we have to say and to share. And we've got to stop diminishing our light because of this perception of lack of self-worth.
I think Wendy and I talked about this before. There was this woman who had this long talk about how she now carries sunglasses around, and if people feel her light is too bright, she will hand them sunglasses. And
that's what I should do.
Tell them to put on the sunglasses because she is not dimming her light.
Right on, baby.
Right on.
I love it. I've even got vintage hats up here, vintage men's fedoras, which I used to collect from antique shops. And I would buy the men's fedoras that fit me, and I would actually wear them to work.
That's awesome. Remember, we should incorporate because we were going to have a hat day.
Oh, yeah, we were going to do hats and tea party. And
we could incorporate the hats and the tea party together.
Totally. I mean, we should all be dressed to have our hats on. And we'll wear our tea party hats. And totally.
That would be fun.
Well, I'm feeling some light languages. I think that we should solidify all of this information. I kind of feel like my guides are saying, if you guys were to, I'm just looking at the last notes too. 7, I don't know if it's a master number, Sean, but 7 is the number that represents spirituality, and I'm not exactly even sure why. I'd have to look into that more, but I have heard and read that multiple times that 7 is the number that represents spirituality. So that would make a lot of sense. And something Michelle said too about speaking the languages of the trees, because that is a huge thing about Ireland and trees and green and nature and light languages. The trees were a huge part of my beginning of connecting with the light languages and the wood nymphs and the light sprites and even though nobody needed to tell me when I was in the forest, and nobody needed to validate for me that that's what I was receiving, was that I was talking to these amazing elemental beings. And so when she said that about speaking I feel like I literally can talk to the trees and, and touch them and feel them and communicate with them. And I believe I really feel that the light languages help us connect with absolutely everything that we don't believe we can even.
I totally agree, because everything is alive. Everything, we are so good. We're not just connected to each other. We're connected to the trees. We're connected to the, like what would happen if the bees, I talk about this a lot, but what would happen if the bees disappear? I mean, that's like, we're all connected, and we have to start understanding that it's not just.
God, I can't believe you mentioned that about the bees. That was the other part of my gift.
Really?
Okay, this is what's so weird, you guys, is I've been connecting with the Bee Collective for a really long time. And recently, over the last few weeks, I keep feeling as if I'm visiting a planet in which the bees are the beings on the planet, but they're really big bees. And part of my gift was a photograph of a bee on yellow flowers, talking about light, on yellow flowers. And then she created a tote bag from the photograph.
That's awesome.
And I just recently took photos of the bee going in and out of my cactus flower that only blooms once per year. And it only blooms one day. Each bloom only blooms one day. And I've done many videos of this. And one of them was with the bee coming in and out of that flower. So, plus one of the first things I did was I started reading this book, which I still haven't finished. And it's a really good book, you guys. The Shamanic Way of the Bee. And I'm going to finish the book one of these days. And I know Sean remembers, because he was in some of the hangouts when I started reading that book years ago, and I never finished it. So I think that might be kind of fun to do.
Wendy,
would you like that, Alicia?
Yes, I would, but my excitement is so great right now. I can't control my.
Okay, do share.
Okay, so first we're going to talk about the appearances of the bee, because a bee means you are too busy and you need to rest, or you need to stop resting or you need to rest, or you need to stop resting and get busy if you've been procrastinating. Now,
that kind of goes both ways for me.
It does, but it goes with our feet. We were talking about our feet, remember? And it's okay. So the traits, it says bees symbolize accomplishing impossible tasks if you only set your mind to it, which is what we're talking about today. Scientists had a difficult time understanding how the bee could fly. Its sheer size of its body in relation to its wing size should have prohibited flight. But the bee, not knowing it wasn't supposed to fly, beats its wings at such an elevated speed that it is able to lift its weight. And that's pretty spectacular. Bees also symbolize fertility, productivity, and manifestation. Are you doing all you can to pursue your dreams and live a productive life? Also, that's
a very good question, you guys. Are you doing that?
question.
Are you all, as Bashar would say, are you following your highest excitement moment by moment as far as you can take it until you can take it no further without expectation?
Yes. So I think, Tara, if this is what the book you're talking about, it's called Animal Frequencies. It's amazing. We use it all the time here with Wendy. I just learned, Wendy, I just started keeping it at the side table because
I love that book.
I keep this one at the side table, and I keep the signs and symbols one because we use them all the time.
And then Michelle brought up the Avian Collective, and that was another thing that was so synchronistic because there's been a lot of that Avian Collective connections and synchronicities with me also over the last few days, and the doves of peace. And so lot of interesting stuff. And I've got a little dove statue on my front porch. So I don't know, just every single thing. Once we start seeing everything is, when you start to see that the synchronicities are the rule, then you begin to understand, oh my God, everything's a message. I need to start being aware. And how many times do you go someplace and you drive to work and you're not even really paying attention to what's going on? You're not present. And that's what when you start to become more present in the now, you begin to become aware of these synchronicities, which then changes the life that we manifest.
And now being aware is different than trusting. Now take it from example. I can be totally, absolutely, positively aware, and they can tell me something, or I see something. That doesn't always mean I'm trusting it. And so it's still like, I'm still working on it.
And if a fox crosses your path or a bee, and I was reading the notes, absolutely, you guys, these are our animal totems.
Yep.
We have animal spirit guides and we have animal totems. An animal spirit guide is a guide that can be with you all your life. You have this archetype that you identify with, like a particular animal, all your life. And then there's those guides that come in, the totems that come in for specific messages, like the spider, the bee. I'm making examples of things that have happened in my own life. The deer. Now, the deer happens to be one of my spirit animals as well. The blue jay's been one of my totem. The ladybug, the hummingbird, a huge totem for me. A spirit guide for me is the hummingbirds. Again, talking about their wings and flapping so fast, and they're a symbol for us that we really are moving through multiple parallel realities moment by moment. It's so fast we can't even conceive it.
I just watched a program about how they took various birds. I think one was a specific owl, one was a dove, one was something. And they had the birds fly from one end of the room to the other end of the room. Not only did they record their flight path, but they recorded the frequency in which they flew and related it to how high they flew, how fast they flew. And it was just absolutely amazing. And I don't know what it was called, but I think it was like a National Geographic thing. And it had to do first to start off with this recouping of an owl that these people were doing. But if you guys look up National Geographic and like type in frequency of birds or like the white owl, it might come up. But it was so fascinating. And if I could remember more, it totally connects with us, all about how like the dove flaps. It has so many flaps, but like the white owl is fascinating. She hardly moves her wings, because each feather has specific little tiny feathers that curl up to make her not have to work so hard. It's absolutely fascinating.
Wow.
You guys would love it. But we should do some light language.
I was just going to say, yeah, we'll
just talk all night long.
And then Tara says, Tara T says, I saw 16 turkey vultures flying around me today. I have turkey vultures all over the place here. And even my dog Ranger on the ground, when he sees the eagle or the turkey vultures or the big hawks, he will run and bark at them up in the air, because I think he feels them up. I mean, he will literally, and it's like he's telling them, oh, don't even think about coming down here. He's so protective of me. He's really protective of me. So it is kind of funny though how he will do that. And so I have turkeys running around here and turkey vultures and beautiful water birds. I've got some of them, I don't even know what they are. White, I think there's white herons, there's blue herons, I have had swans. So the avian collective, and this is again a whole nother, story for another day, but the avian collective have been very instrumental for all of us in helping us, protect the earth, helping us do what we need to do while we're here, and keeping the frequency high, keeping, people, I say people, I use that word loosely, keeping energies at bay that do not have Earth's best interests at heart as we evolve and as we become more aware. So birds are extremely instrumental. I was listening into our own awakening process here, and I was listening again just today to a conversation between two birds. If you actually listen, you can hear one, and then you'll hear the other one answer. Sometimes they can be a mile away or more. They can be miles away, but if you listen, you can hear them answering each other. And it was as if you can start to tap into their conversation and start to hear. And then I started hearing messages for me from the birds. And again, people may think you're crazy. And this is some of the things I don't share. I had a conversation with a bird today, and he was telling me that, really, that's what, you think somebody's going to go, really, unsubscribe.
That the first time my really good friend from New Jersey was like, so I was looking at this house today and it had a pond, and I had a conversation with this fish. And I was like, oh, do tell. Because
we know it's the real deal.
The fish says something like, I see you're interested in the house. I need to know your plans because we aren't really eating fish. We can give you a lot of information type fish. It was just, I was like, this is the best ever. I'd love to open up that communication more so to the animal collective, that like I recognize their signs. I recognize when they're there in my path, but I'm not at that vibration yet where I'm able to hear them. But that'll come. It'll come when it's ready.
Absolutely. And sometimes you just hear things and it's so subtle, and you think, okay, was that me? Was that the bird? Was that something else? So we second guess ourselves, but okay, guys, yeah, I'm getting hungry now, so now I gotta go. I know, poor, what time we get done last time? It was so late. I had already eaten, you hadn't even eaten. You're like, it's like 11 o'clock. She's like going to eat mashed potatoes.
I love mashed potatoes.
Me too. I was like, you made me want to make some, by the way. I meant to tell you that.
The best kind of, okay, so Sean may have to like butt in here, but like we make this dish called Culcanons. And it's like based on this Irish dish where you take, I don't know what the original recipe is, but we take mashed potatoes and we take cabbage, and we make the cabbage first. We caramelize the cabbage, and then you mix it in with your mashed potatoes. It's so amazing.
That sounds really good. And I'm not a big fan of cooked cabbage, but that I think I would really like. And I love corned beef. I love corned beef.
I think in the original recipes they do put like either corned beef or some sort of beef. I don't know. Sean will have to like let us know. I'm sure. For a long time, Sean and I've been, we've known each other for a long time, and so there's always been that interesting connection. It really triggered a lot of memories for me about. Plus, when you meet somebody new. When I meet somebody new, I tend to start to see like timelines with them. So it's kind of a weird experience. And sometimes you don't want to share it because you think, wow, that was pretty intense. And you're not really sure how someone else is going to take that and, that information, because sometimes it's really emotional or it's very intimate. And so even though it's not the way it is here
in this life, it, you know, it is what it was there. And so I feel the emotion behind all that. So it's kind of, it's very weird experience actually. But it's cool. Not weird
It's
in a
very
bad way.
cool. Especially like when it randomly happens and you're like, whoa, whoa, I just saw you sitting at the piano and I was your wife. And I'm like, yeah.
Exactly. See that? Yeah. For anybody who didn't hear that one. Yeah. The day when I saw the vision of her and I was watching her making music, but she was a he and I was her her wife. And she was composing and it was pretty cool.
Good. It's all good.
So, all right, guys. Well, we're going to, so I don't know. Like, I feel like I want to say, let's share some light languages. Like if we were going to maybe give a synopsis of like a lot of what we talked about today and to help, like, I don't know, activate this in others. I feel like we should have like this, like a conversation, like a light language conversation about, like the light language version maybe of what we've been trying to say today.
A condensed light language version, which usually works because we can condense a lot of English into a little bit of light language, but it does go the opposite way too sometimes. So.
Right.
Okay.
And I wanted to thank all of you guys too. I wanted to thank all of you guys for being here, especially Sean. Thank you so much. And Michelle, I know you guys are overseas, so it's really late for you guys. So I understand. I really thank you, guys, all of you for being here. And whether you watch this now or later, everything is now, just like Michael says. And one of the things, in all seriousness, one of the things that I enjoyed about my interactions with the Shikani Bashar's race. I also channel a being, and I've been more and more getting in contact with Echo of the Shikani, and he's one of my guides. He's an elder, and I'm really going to be connecting more and more with that energy and hopefully channeling more information. But that one of the things that the Shikani do very well is they've learned from like the angelics, how to navigate the nows, how to actually use the nows and navigate them in such a way that to teach people, how they really can, that they really are so powerful that you can shift your consciousness anytime to another parallel reality. You never change your body. You never shift the earth you're on. You always change your frequency and shift your frequency to a different version of earth that more matches your core vibration. Because you guys, there's billions and billions and billions and billions of parallel realities, just like this one, where things are just a little different. And we talked, you got the Mandela effect and all of that. That's a whole nother thing, whole nother subject, but that's just a synchronicity to show all of us the power that we really do have, and that it's all about physics and resonance and frequency, and our reality is based upon all of that. And once you can feel a little bit better about all of that, you start to understand the belief systems that were tied to the things that are not logical anymore will just simply begin to unravel. They just won't make any sense to even hold on to them anymore. Yep. And that's what I feel, the energy that, yes, we're living a 3-dimensional reality, and yes, these things are real, but we're also receiving higher dimensional information for a very good reason. And it's to raise a human collective consciousness, to create an earth that is more closely resembling that which those of us who want to see a better world are creating together by our frequency. And that gets all very weird and scientific and and
so I think in our if we're going to do a discussion or a little talk back and forth. Is that what you were thinking?
Yeah.
I think we should also put in some activations in there so you guys can open up your trust packages.
And actually, you know what?
Trust.
That is what this light language is. That's what this light language activation right now is going to be all about, because the whole the whole day and theme tonight has really been about trust. It's about trusting what you're receiving, trusting the information, trusting the visions you're getting. And as you begin to trust more and more, you're giving your higher self permission to give you more stuff. Because if you don't trust what you're already getting, why on earth would they give you more? If you can't figure out addition, you're not going to be able to move on to multiplication. So there's no point in them giving us more information than we can chew in any given moment, that we can absorb and integrate, and we can have the experience of feeling overwhelmed, but you can never really be overwhelmed. You can't ever get more than what you're capable of expanding. So
I know for a fact that they can, if your third eye opens beyond what you can incorporate, they will shut it down just a little bit until you can incorporate it, and then open it back up. And then, so they will never give you more than you can handle, but you have to be able to integrate it. So like Chakra always says, when we record sessions and stuff, there's 3 parts to it. And this brings us back to what Wendy was talking about in the beginning. First, you hear it, then you listen to it again, and you work on understanding it, what was actually said, and then you work on incorporating it. And those are the 3 steps you have to take in order for it to fully open up in the little boxes to open up.
That's a really good way. Yeah, very good way to put it. And all of a sudden, talk about frequency. I'm
getting really warm.
I got really hot all of a sudden. So I felt like I'm a bird flapping my own wings.
Yeah.
I'm like, woo, I'm really hot. So yeah, I just wanted to say thank you to everybody. And yeah, let's bring these light languages in and help them filter through us and activate our trust. Activating our trust. Nisotona kia satosamiki ishanasela sonote sonose la luhramakaya. Ninina nakola kondiana kodkiara sonote shanashe shonote la hina nikolo koyabasada. Nihina ki kia sonojabila hanakalio toshashala kodasa se. Samahala I marukona kodakoteshanake la pirakoni kalakodia barokuisa palake. Sonashela kuinana la kodashanote. La se tu se sonosho shomokalaki isonoseta inoso aikishanate miyashata. So they wanted me to ask you what in light language what you think about what I just said.
Are you talking to me or are you talking to
you? Yes. So yeah, to answer in light language, yeah.
All right. Doshuniatiasi kulupuyato o pianatataha ku onata shumatiati kiale o onatiasa puoto na iakana iana o te aihi ibiuzua matiata kulusutiata namiasia ana ikiata puosianati hikata lupunata mashukulo te apokona ha wasiata na a nukuno shuta ma kiata o upuliata wana siata te ana a mama pupuliashata moka.
Ino tuko yama sotoshe ino sosala suno toshkama no se konani kisa to shabeli sote sono somani kero shunanta ibusha imakolale la sono tone ke le kosamatasha to kolamo mo onate ikishosesa seno sona tai imbakora la senate ke isana sala sotosho rushaneda Ilukunadi ki isana sazabalona I kusatose somosonatola. They're sort of explaining something about our perception of time and timing.
So that's exactly what I was getting. So what I understood was that even the way in which our light language comes through is a very human spin put on it with how we enunciate and how. Right, but they're like, but that's okay because the codes and the information is still coming through. But sometimes we just smile at the way you guys choose what you choose to enunciate in how it comes through. Is
that's hilarious? I know, because we're like, Mi sotto c'è mi ila sotto che ya shatore sa leki lo
Like
que
we're
ya
listing
sota
things up, and then I'm like, that's I'm like, but
la ha. And then I wonder, are they talking like that? And am I just like interpreting their like attitude, or you know what I mean? I'm like, is that me or them?
Because I said, make me a rod for the divine to be able to help, to be able to help do his will and help activate and stuff. So yeah, is it, like but that's what, Wendy, that's what Michael said. That's what was in that letter about how the interpretation, wait, okay. I know we need to go, but I need to just,
she's like, I know we need to go, but
this. Okay. So there are some things that I cannot bring to your dimension, and or they get lost or never come through in the translation, is what he said.
Okay, yes, and that's exactly right. That we have to remember that too, you guys. We're interpreting things through our own three-dimensional filters, and we're still only kind of guessing. Like when the light languages come through, it's like I can get a feeling and I can get an interpretation, but I don't know that I can say this is exactly what they're saying,
And like Sean said, that's where we go off the frequency of the message. Not
exactly. And how does it make you
how we were using our inflections, but it's the frequency. So
Misato sono kila isato malikia alusono se sono dormi na kalu tosha makaleto sono ke untasha sono somalia sotoshane. And they're actually saying to me, spend more time actually having a conversation with your heart. Your heart is its own mind. It has it. The heart literally is the connection to your higher self, and then the information gets brought into your heart mind, and then it's translated through emotion, and then we as a three-dimensional being try to interpret that emotion. And what does that mean? And they're saying spend more time, and I keep putting my hands on my heart, like they're showing me spend more time literally having a direct, and they're saying direct, having a direct conversation with your heart. See, even if you need to visualize it as another being sitting in front of you, and listen to what it has to say, because it will actually provide a conversation, a two-way conversation with you. Because they're saying in the spiritual world, you talk about opening your heart.
Right.
And yes, they do mean that you are opening because you're coming, but a lot of that gets lost in translation because it gets said so many times that we don't actually take it literally. And they're saying, open the communication between you, your thought mind, and your heart mind, and listen for the information.
Because that's where the key comes in.
That you had the see again. I had the key and you had the other side. You had the lock, so you had the lock and I have the key. You guys are, and they're telling me that you already have the keys to unlock every single door that you think is all closed and foreign and scary, or I can't do that, right? Right?
So this is
right.
I had this vision.
That means you can't.
I just had this really weird vision of like it was kind of gray. There was really but there was all these doors, and there were all these people standing by these doors, and you and I are not together. We were separated, but all these people had keys in their hand, but they were standing still, like they were afraid. They were just so overwhelmed by all these choices of these doors. And so I lean out like this and I hold my key up, and you lean out and you hold your key up, and then we both look at each other. And then like we both like come together, and we didn't say anything, but I'm pretty sure we exchanged information just telepathically. And then we went our separate ways, so like they could see us, and we just put the key in, opened both the doors and we just walked through, and like they were shocked, and because the people got to see the door open up. They got to see the door open up, and those that could actually see realized that it wasn't anything bad or anything negative.
Oh, really?
And so,
you mean, did they see light?
light. Exactly. And so it was like we were teaching everybody to take their keys and not be afraid to open their own door. So this was a 2-second vision that really in like non-human time was like quite a bit longer.
See, and this is how we receive it, you guys. She got this 2-second thing, but you get this whole thing, and look how perfectly it ties into today, and me pulling the key and her pulling the lock card. Seriously, I mean, and I have a whole box of keys here that I've showed you guys before in other hangouts that, I mean, I've collected keys all my life. And because my guides have been telling me, you've had the keys all along. It's the old Wizard of Oz story, clicking the heels, and, there's no place like home, because you're already home.
Right. And Sean says, do or do not. There is no try.
There is no try.
Maybe I said try. Somewhere I said try, but yes.
Well, but that is, do or do not. There is no try. And that, of course, is Yoda. So another one of my heroes, Yoda. So, and actually in my woodworking here, in my wood home here, there is a notch of wood. I swear, you guys, I'll take a picture of it. Everyone who comes over says so too. Oh my God, that's Yoda. Oh my God, that's Yoda.
So funny.
So yeah, and it's like just it's like part of the natural wood, and it looks just like Yoda. And I grew up on Star Wars. I admit it, I'm old enough to say I actually went to the theater to watch the very first one. So Star Wars and Yoda and all this idea of venturing off to the stars and all that has always been a part of my awareness. So
Sean said the key is yourself, and that's true. But then I said the door is also yourself too.
Well, there you go. So there we leave you with tonight's paradox of you are not just the key, you are also the door. You are the lock. You are the gatekeeper.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so yes, I'm gonna leave you guys with a light language blessing to help you stand in your truth, find your key, find your door to unlock the marvelous you that is you. And yeah, okay, so I don't know why everything's so funny all of a sudden. Hang on.
I got all woozy.
Na shokotia pala kaya tana ia do shokotia nata bosiata mo oloko ta ayala hanata sitidia kolo posho na ana ia koto o yanata tiasata hanaku o shoto bola kiata nata tate ki anatata posholiata amosho uko obojarata na asatia to kona tata puolosho goda hana asiatata puko ona tiata totodata tototototototota kanata tia totia patikana tia toto tatia tata wamasha tia tona dakata bola hanasiata bola kana hatiata ta boka anata pokuna tiata ta kola pe shua anatia lako ona tata isikit nana to kobla anata na kono to kutone tata to koro taya tota hana po osoto mahania tala biokono topa po lohono o sia tata niatata wa ana o ki o shoto papiana ta hana sono to kolo atiata hono maata puasiata kishinyata to olo pa anasata moko o banasiata hashi ku umoso watata hanata puaka ono oa I anata na hanata kola patata ko anasa ta alupiataka pushoto na hatiatasa mana poliata. Namaste.
E na to hanu ko apo hana ko la hena isha na ko hamo la kashane haiwa hino haihu na kiwa hiwa. O hanu ko ya ima anu ko a shishia inkia enki inchu shishama orun ko I say. Se mi ina ki Elohima ka le kosa na baliana ki sheta shuta. Sa ijariza e bagajana u la cosa balizana gajana ke luza e jala guza balajana ko le andar gijana ke zuzala zumagalajana. Ziananda shiana kolea, mizaja, ziandoro guandara shonora kilanga. Nisari hina ki kuampokoiga yandara kulahanga yashana sega. Sunikana se zambarianzo jambajala kidanzo gula, zangara zandajaraka. Zehana, Ziambarugunianda Coriandoro Sonmor Kira Coriandoro Shola Kira, Soniandoro Giandoro Sholani Kila Goria Sabara Halagoria, a Haliki and Soleana Nor Calagoria, Seneshero Coniando Riana Borgula Coriandorica Laha, La Kiera Sode Shame Galo Coriana, Setara Saitana no Guadavar Cresce, Zaziana Glenora Nahuma, U Quashuno Uaka Hasana Se Hasana She. Una hasha aqua ayana ukua hashe segua sono ora shaia hisana so una kaayataki asajajara zode zenariero gora mugua shanatera sanatareshe sono sona kiawa anashata iguananda shara kola sota sara enotara she sadakera sanatorea enasha. So as you were speaking, I was seeing all of us, and I just heard again, you will gather again at the paw of the Sphinx. You will gather again at the paw of the Sphinx, and you will tell your stories. You will see all the yous that you are, and you will tell great stories, and you will share great knowledge, and you will experience great knowings of you will experience the knowings of the great masters. And I keep hearing you will share your stories. You will share your stories. Misarako nea kaleato sonaki empoko sanatala koshanata.
That is so amazing. So you gave a very shortened history of not only the last time that we were able to gather at the paw of the Sphinx, but also how the Elohim worked alongside with the Anunnaki, and how some of the other angelic and other galactic beings also worked to bring what we have now as known as Earth and all that is living on Earth, and all those stories to tell that the door and the key of yourself will unlock, and then we can all share them once we get to that Sphinx, to the paw of the Sphinx again. So that's what
exactly what I was, because I could feel them all. I could hear them, all the different, all of them. Yes, like that's what they were all there sharing in this co-creation, and so. Yes. We saw the same things. I think I
think so too. So if you guys listen to this again and you just close your eyes, you will get the information of the beginnings that you are supposed to know for that moment. Now, once you come back and you have a new version of you will get a bit more information of that. So you can always come back to these, and what you received the first time, or visualize, or however it comes to you in the vibration of the frequency, there will always be more the next time that you come back.
Absolutely. And Michelle mentioned too about the Crow Collective, and I know that the Crow Collective comes to me quite frequently, and they were all here today to remind us that we are all we're remembering our mystic selves. So we really are receiving and sharing the master's information, and that you guys have got to trust that. You wouldn't be here in this conversation if you weren't. So a lot of very, very, very powerful information coming through tonight, even in the times that we joke and we laugh and we talk about our experiences. They are telling me that too, that you guys don't understand how invaluable this is to do this and sharing this stuff, and just how we help all of them, and even those that we look up to as hierarchy are learning from us, and they really want you guys to understand that. So thank you again, all of you, for being there. Thank you, Alicia, for once again helping facilitate and co-create such, multidimensional understandings and awarenesses. And thanks for sharing your personal stuff, and it all gives us all permission to be ourselves, and to speak our own truth, and to see it, to seek it, to see it, and to speak it.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, guys. Love you, love you, love you. No sotoshea kaya ashana. And if you want to get a hold of me, all of my information's below. It's always in almost all of my videos. So my links are there. If you need me, I'm here. Private sessions, all of my stuff is down there. Again, compartmental labels, don't really like all that stuff, but it's really what you see here this is what we are. So please feel free to connect with us, and we'll always share our links and stuff. So if there's any way that we can be of service or benefit to you and assist you, please do reach out to us and share this information. If you feel that somebody else could benefit from this information, please do share it with, trust that if you get the indication to share something with someone, it's because your guides are working together with them to say, this is your soul family and they need to hear this. So trust what you're receiving, and trust what you're told to share. Thank you again for being here as we all share and express the timeless living languages of lights. I love you all. Thank you, and namaste.
Namaste.